Welcome to the Perfect Blend podcast.
My name is Sara.
And my name is Shenelle. We'll be serving you the perfect blend of beauty, skincare, overall wellness ideas, and discussion. We'll just sit back, relax, and talk shit about life, just like girlfriends should. Now let's get back to it. You know, sometimes people get kind of talkative and they're like telling you more stuff than you need to know or that you care to know.
Totally.
That's how that went. And you try to rush them off the phone, but then you're also like, I shouldn't be rushing you off the phone. It's my job to listen to you talk about these things.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to balance that.
Yes.
It really is.
It really
especially
is.
Too, I find, and I'm sure you find this like more so now, Shenelle, that like, especially because we're in quarantine, people are even chattier on the phone.
Yes.
They're like excited to talk to people.
They're like, oh my gosh, like another person.
Yeah.
Let me tell them my whole life story, stuff that doesn't have to do with what I'm helping them with. They want to talk about, and in excess as well, like more than they need to.
But you know what it is? Most often, it's like they don't have someone to talk to most of the time. Like sometimes it's like an older person, and they're like, literally, the only conversation I've had today is with you. And I just want to let you know how I feel. And I feel like, so when me and Shenelle used to work at Bel Air Direct, like I felt that way with a lot of customers that used to call in. They would be like talking to me and I'd be like, you know what, like, tell me about your day. Like I felt so bad because I was like, imagine this was like your parents. Do you know what I mean? I think about like this.
That's true.
Like, think about it if it was your family member and they're alone during this time. And like even now it's even it's even harder, right? Because we're in COVID times and like people are legit by themselves in their home. They can't go out, you know? So I'm like, I have like a soft spot for people.
You have a soft spot for all of these people.
All of them.
I mean, I get it. Like, I understand. And that's kind of why I say I'm like, okay, fine, I'll let them talk.
Yeah.
Because it's going to make my life easier when I have to deal with them later. Because they're like, oh, you know what? I really like her. She listens to me. So
yeah, that's true. You know what, though?
Sometimes it's a little too much.
Sometimes, but I will say the benefit of it as well. So, like, the benefit for them is like, okay, now I have someone to talk to. I can tell them about my life, The benefit for you is like, oh, like my customer service is going to be exceptional today. And for me, customer service is like number one. Like if I have good customer service, guy, I'm talking to your manager. I'm talking to your manager.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
Get me on the phone with them. Like I am so appreciative. It's so funny. Even at like Sephora, I'll be like, if some girl helps me and I find that it's so helpful and she's just so nice, I'm like, girl, give me your name. I'm going to go talk to your manager right now.
1,000%.
I'm that way. I feel like it's so important because especially in certain situations, like you don't get recognized that much, like, because it's your job, right? They think it's your job.
1,000%. And I think because we've all kind of been in customer service roles, we know what it's like when you're giving it like 110% and people just kind of brush you off. So like when you get in that industry, you're like, okay, this person's obviously really trying to help me out. Like I need to make sure it's recognized because we've been there.
Totally. It's so interesting, Miranda. I'm going to tell you. So to start off the podcast, Miranda and I know each other from way back. Me and her used to work together, and she actually was friends with my best friend, Becca, way back when. So shout out to Bex. And basically, we met while working at a fashion retailer. I'm not going to say the name, but we worked at a fashion retailer together, and we hit it off. So I've known Miranda for how many years now?
Ooh, I have to say I was like in second, so at least since we were like 2021.
So that it's been like 6-7 years now.
Like 3 weeks.
Wow.
So it's been a while, and at the time I like loved Miranda. She's such a sweetheart. That's why I'm so happy that she's on the podcast. So welcome, Miranda.
Yes, welcome.
Great to be here with both you ladies. Oh my gosh, it's such an honor. I'm calling Sarah. When I was asked, I was like, of course.
Oh, you're so sweet. So I want to just begin this by saying thank you so much, Miranda. And we want to know, what is it exactly that you do? Because I know that your career has changed a little bit since we've last talked. So I want to know, like, what is it that you're doing now? Like, what's Miranda's life like?
Okay, so last time when we were working together, I was still in school for sociology. Like, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. I knew it was some kind of like marketing or PR. So graduated the sociology degree, went for postgrad for PR, and I was like, okay, I'm going to work at an agency. I'm going to be living like my best life. But as we all know, like when you're out of school, the first thing you want to do is just land a job and start paying off that tuition. So I actually started working at the Metro Toronto Convention Center in sales, and like it's coming up to 4 years. So definitely a different trajectory altogether. And what I loved about it was like working with like event planners, working with clients, kind of making dreams come to life, really selling the space. But what lacked was like that marketing aspect that I fell in love with when I was in PR. So I was wondering, how can I still do something that I'm so passionate about without, you know, totally uprooting my life? Because like it's kind of hard right now, like millennials, like we're trying to, you know, pay off our student debt, get ahead. Like there's a lot on our plates. And like I wasn't really in the situation to just jump up and totally change everything. So I started like just working side businesses, doing marketing and social media marketing. And eventually COVID hit, and I'm so thankful to still be fully employed, but I did find myself with some extra time because you're in the house, there's not much to do. So it was actually my fiance that was like, why don't you start branding yourself? Like, you know what you're doing in social media, like take it to the next level, like create a brand, like showcase it. And obviously, like, you know, us women, like we run through every possible scenario in our head. Like, can I do it? Will I be able to do it? Can I handle this? I don't know. You second guess yourself. But it's so funny how another person, whether it's like your significant other or your best friend or your family, they're like, go do it. Like they kind of give you that push, and that's all you really need. So thanks to him and like my family, my friends, they were like, whatever you need, we're here to support you. And so yeah, it kind of started M Media Co on the side that specializes in digital marketing and social media management. And I've been doing that like on my own since September. So it's still kind of like new and fresh, but it's definitely something that it's time consuming, of course, but I don't really consider it time consuming when it's something that like you're so passionate about.
Right.
Can I just say,
I love that. I love it.
Me too. I relate like so much.
Right. Like 1,000%. 1,000%. Because there's high school and you get into college and university, you're doing something that you think you want to do, and also what you think will make you a lot of money in a short period of time, and what will make your parents proud, right? So it's always like, but I want to do this, but you know, this will make me more money faster, and this is going to make my parents proud. They're going to go and tell their friends and tell like my aunts and my uncles, like, oh, you know, my daughter, she's a lawyer, you know.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Always, that is usually what pushes everyone to the careers or the education that they choose. So when you kind of branch out and move towards something different, it's kind of, you know, it's a little bit overwhelming for you at first, but once you get into and you're like, and you realize like, this is something I really want to do, or I really love this, you take off sailing.
Oh my gosh,
sailing.
And
so having a support system is really good, or really needed.
I feel like especially when you like trust yourself in that, like you see, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I feel like when I do this work, it's not work, it's something I enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like to piggyback on what Shenelle was saying, I feel like you feel once you are comfortable doing it, and once you take that step, I feel like you feel so liberated. That's how I felt, at least. I felt like legit liberated. I was like, oh my God, what has been holding me back this long? You know, like, and it's, I would say, like, based on what you both were saying, it's like how society has these expectations of you, and not only society, it's your parents too, right? Like, so your parents have these expectations of you, and they think, you know, I want the best for my daughter or my son or my child. And they think this is gonna is gonna be what makes you happy, but it's not necessarily always the case. So it's like once you start trusting yourself, like I feel like it expands your abilities. Like you're able to be like, you know what, I can conquer anything. Like I trust myself entirely to know that I can do this. And I feel like now that you've done that, Miranda, I feel like the sky's the limit, girlfriend. Like you can do whatever you want to do. Seriously.
Right. It's kind of scary too, because I'm sure you ladies have felt the same when you're kind of like, you say yes to like a new project or something, and you start self-doubting yourself, and then sometimes you that kick from an outside source to be like, hello, you've done, like, maybe you haven't done this exact thing, but you've done something close, you will learn it. You know what I mean? We live in the age of information where if you don't know, you can learn. And like, kind of going back to what you were both saying about, you know, you go to high school and all this, I kind of feel think about you at 18 years old, you know, like, that's a lot of pressure on an 18-year-old to be like, hey, figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Right. And then a lot of times, like, you're so young, like your mind is everywhere. Like it's hard to pin down what you actually want to do. And so much has changed since we've been in high school in terms of like careers and what in terms of, you know, making money.
1000%.
The jobs that are lucrative aren't conventional jobs like being a lawyer or being a doctor. It's social media based. So
and, yeah, imagine thinking that like back in your grade 10 careers and civics class, like that was an option for you to be an influencer. Like that didn't even exist.
It didn't even exist. That sounded like, I know if I told my parents, you know, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and I'm gonna be an influencer, they would have been like, that's not a real job.
No,
like that's a side thing that you that's a hobby. That's the thing you do on the side. What are you really gonna do? What are you really gonna do with your time and our money?
Right.
So true.
It is so true.
Yes.
With regards to I guess your roots, like where like your parents are from, like where you're from, where did you grow up? I know this answer, but I just want like the world to know, where did you grow up? How were your parents like when you were growing up? Like how was that situation for you?
So I grew up in Mississauga, like just a couple, funny enough, just a couple blocks down from Sarah, even though we didn't until much later. Like we were literally a stone throws away, which is hilarious.
Wow.
So funny. And I grew up, my parents are both European. So my dad's Portuguese and my mom's Italian. And they really grew up enforcing to me like hard work, go to school, like that is how you make it in this life. Like, and especially because like my dad in particular, like he didn't have the opportunity to go to post-secondary. So for him, that was like non-negotiable. For my sister and I, it's like, I didn't get to do this and I'm working my butt off to make sure you get to do it. So you're going to do it. Mind you, he wasn't too pushy on what exactly I studied. I don't think, you know, he'd obviously want to say his daughter's a lawyer or something.
Yeah.
They were both just, you know, post-secondary, whether it's college or university, whichever route you take, like you need to get more of an education. That was always what they said. But I grew up like very family oriented. So in the little neighborhood I live in, so I grew up with both my parents, and like a few houses down was my mom's mom, so my nonna, and then my uncle was there. Two of my great uncles lived in the same neighborhood as us. So I always grew up around a lot of family. I have one younger sister. We're only like 15 months apart. So we not only did like we do a lot growing up, but even like our friend groups and our social lives, like they were so intermingled. So I've always been surrounded by family, which I think is like a great way to grow up.
Absolutely. You're talking
I agree.
Two people that are very much family oriented too.
Yes.
Although I'm an only child on my mom's side, but I do have siblings on my dad's side. So I relate in that I have a lot of cousins. So I feel like I do get that, like in terms of how important family is and like how important it is to have those, you know, connections, like those strong support system. You know what I mean? Like, I completely get it.
Yeah. For me, I have a really big family. I have a lot of siblings. I grew up with all of them. There's 7 of us. I grew up with all of them. So, you know, we've been really connected and really close. We still are. So, you know, growing up and everyone kind of branching out and doing what they wanted to do, the focus always came back to, you know, are you going to be a doctor or are you going to be a lawyer? Like what avenue, you know? And I feel like those, like medicine and law was all, that's the best. You get the you get the best paycheck from that job, you get the best experience, and it's also, it gives you bragging rights too, right? So
Totally.
so I feel like, you know, growing up with a lot of with a lot of family members around, it also kind of helps you figure out who you are as an individual as well.
Of course, I completely agree. And I think you guys have both said, like, you growing up with a lot of cousins or like your parents or a lot of siblings. And I think we can all agree here, no one is going to be more honest with you than your family.
Exactly.
That ain't the truth.
Like, sometimes, like, I wouldn't say too honest, but sometimes you need that kind of tough love to kind of be like, and you know, your mom, your dad, your cousins, your siblings are the first people that'll do it out of love.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
really do want the best.
You want to know a story? I feel like if you know Hispanic,
tell it, girl.
If you know Hispanic people, you will know that there's always an uncle or always an aunt or always a cousin or an older cousin. I'll be like, oh my God, Sarah, you look so fat. What happened?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And like, why? What? Like
why is it the first thing you said to me?
Right? But it's like, I love you, but I won't like make you feel like shit. Like, what if what if I gain some weight? Like, what does it do? You know, like, but that's why, like, when you say that they're gonna be the most honest, I 100% guarantee that they're gonna be the most honest. Like,
no filters.
No filters at all. Like, zero.
Right?
Not at all.
No. I remember, like, back in high school, I think I dyed my hair from blonde to jet black. And my mom was just like, I don't know what this, like, no. Like, this isn't a thing. Like, you don't look good. And it's kind of like your ego's so shot at, like, 17. But it's like, you look back at those photos, you're like, oh, yeah, I look like Morticia, but not in a good way. This is not a good vibe for me.
And you probably were like, oh my God, I'm doing something to myself. I'm going to look so good when it's done. And then when you were done, what did you do? Why'd you do that to yourself?
So bad. And I look back and I'm like, and this is why I will never dye my hair black again. It just did not see. You know, being 17, you think you know it all.
Yeah, it's true. You think you know it all. You think everything everybody else is telling you doesn't make sense. It's like, no, I'm still going to do this. You know, you always have to learn the hard way.
I think not only that, like, I feel like sometimes you're so stubborn in your own ways that you're like, even though you're saying that, I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're young, when you're in high school, you're like, I can do anything. I'm young. Like, what is it going to be a difference for, right? Like, I get it. Because in high school, I used to have every single color hair. Like, I'm telling you, blonde, orange, like, not on purpose too. Orange, like, red, purple, black, like, everything. And like, for so many times I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm bleaching my hair 3 times to try and get blonde and it's not happening.
Oh my gosh.
But I was just so stubborn. And that's, I think, another thing about, like, when you're so young, sometimes you're so naive and you're just so like, I want to do what I want to do. No matter what anyone says, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Chanel said it best. You have to learn the hard way. My mom always jokes. She's like, I swear that should have been your middle name, Miranda. I have to learn the hard way. Because, like, no matter what you did in life, like, you could have 50 people telling you, like, no, we don't do that. And you still had to figure it out. And she's like, and, you know, and even sometimes with, like, you know, stuff on my, like, even now, I could be like, I don't know if this is right, but, like, I'm going to do it anyways. And you're kind of like, maybe not.
Yeah. I'm still going to try it out.
Let's see what happens.
They said I was going to bust my ass, but, you know, I'm going to still do it. And if I bust my ass, I bust my ass. I learned.
Let me see what busting my ass really feels like.
Let me really feel it, you know? Yeah. Let me really feel it. And then I can be like, oh, guys, don't do it. What they said is true. Don't do it. Like, for example, last year, I went skiing, busted my ass. Literally, I broke my leg, and I was like, I'm never going skiing again. Ever again. Yeah. Learn the hard way.
Yeah. Like the hardest way you could have possibly learned.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what the worst part is? I was doing good the whole day. It was at the end of the day. I was like, let me go down one more time. And that's when it happened. I was like, say never. I'm never going skiing again. Never. Ever again.
Damn. I've heard so many stories about skiing and accidents and stuff. So for me, I'm just like, I can't do it.
I can't do it. It's like, It's like skating, but with 2 long poles attached to your foot. And like you want to move your foot normally, but you can't because it's 2 long poles attached to your foot. You know, so things you would normally do, like walking, it's not, you can't do that properly because you got 2 large poles attached to your foot.
Real shit.
Yeah.
So. I want to just ask you, Miranda. So because I'm curious, because I tried searching you and doing some research, but I feel like it would be best coming from the owner herself. So I want to know, what is it exactly that you do? Like for your company, what do you do?
So I specialize in digital marketing and social media management, and that's a very broad term in this day and age, but that can mean anything from assisting with content creation, helping with social media, assisting with podcasts just like this, but more on the back end, which is kind of cool. So like creating show notes, scheduling of guests, connecting with other podcasts for cross promotions. So it's like kind of cool. Like I know the back end of the podcast, so it's kind of cool to be on the front end of the podcast this time. Like things just like running promotions, like digital ads on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, things like that. So kind of I kind of do a little bit of everything. If I had to kind of pick my favorite thing to do, it would have to be social media marketing. So running ads and seeing how they perform on social media, connecting with other like-minded audiences and creators, and kind of growing a brand. The content creation, I don't mind it, but I'm not a graphic designer at heart, and like graphic designers are just so talented that
they are.
Oh my gosh, my little, you know, I see the work that they do and I'm like, there's a reason why you guys went to school for this. Like they're gifted.
Right? I could not fathom like creating the things that they create, or like having the vision to create what they created. I'm always like, I could never do this by myself. I need help.
I feel like you have to be a visionary to do it. Like you have to have some type of like in your brain, you have this image and it's like, it's never been created before. Like I find that so interesting, like so unique and so like such a skill that sometimes you cannot attain it. Does that make sense? Like you can, like, as a creative individual, as an artist, as a visionary, sometimes there's things in your brain that like have never existed before, and now that you put it out like into the world, now it exists, and it's like, wow. Like to me, that's like revolutionary. I know that sounds like super like serious for it being what it is, but I feel that way. Like I really do.
No, man. Like,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I agree, because like I could see something, I can draw what I see, but I can't add pizzazz to it and make it look more innovative or more broad, or like all these additional ideas or different colors. Like I would have never thought like, oh, maybe let's put some yellow in there. Like that's something that would never have crossed my mind. I would have stuck to whatever I'm looking at. This, I'm going to do it exactly the way I see it. And that's that. But yeah, content or digital creators or people that do anything in not Adobe, but what is it? Is it Adobe?
Adobe. Oh my gosh. Craziness. And even like those digital illustrations that people will get done, like couples will get done, or like they're like breathtaking. I'm like, how do you even put that together?
I honestly, so I know a couple of digital designers, like graphic designers, I would say. And the way that they literally can position like their, because a lot of times they do it on an iPad, right? So like they have like the pen or whatever, and they're literally drawing digitally. And I'm like, how are you doing this? Like to me, it's so like, it is so beautiful how they create it, because it's a whole process, right? Like they literally, from what I've seen in the past, Shenelle just left. No. Okay, I'm going to continue.
I was like,
but so basically when they're drawing, like they draw like a circle and then they draw like a square, like so that way they have like some sort of template, and then they start doing the features. Like in terms of like, they start off with like a very, essential base. Do you know what I mean? Like they start off with a base and then they make it even more elaborate. And it's just like, how in the world? How? Like for me, it's so interesting.
See, I find it so funny that you say that because I see that in the line of work you do. Like I'm so cut and dry with my makeup. It's like tinted moisturizer, little mascara, eyeliner, we're done. And I see the work you do. And like, I see like when you start from like someone that's so, you know, the fresh face, whatever, no makeup into what you do. And I'm like, I wouldn't even have like, what? Like, no, I didn't even know you could do that. And like, it's just mind blowing. So I guess you're doing the exact same thing, just on a different medium.
You know what? It's true. I would say it's interesting because a lot of times in makeup, like I would say you have a base because you have the features.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hey. As I was saying, when you're doing makeup, you have like the features. So you have your eyes, you have your nose, you have your lips, all of these things, right? So you have a base, but then you build on that. So it's like you enhance it with like makeup, obviously, but it's like at least I have the features here to work with. I feel like a lot of times with artists, for instance, like with art, like paintings and whatnot, I feel like you have to start from literally a blank canvas. So it's like interesting because I see both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like I see both ways. It's interesting because I'm not sure if I've ever told you this, Miranda, and I'm not sure if you know, but I work at MAC now. So I'm a MAC makeup artist. And it's interesting because, where was I going with this? Oh, this is what, sorry. So a client came in and she had a painting, like a canvas or whatever she bought. And she was saying, oh, like I'm an artist, like I paint. And I was like, you know what? I do too. Like, and it's true because like I do paint and I'll actually show you, why not? I painted that.
Oh my God.
Right? So the first time I seen that, I was like, you didn't buy that? You sure you didn't buy that? Or you
right? Didn't, like who's the artist?
Right? Like
it's fun because I sign it.
It's like
can I request my own?
Right?
So it was really interesting because like I wanted to relate to her and be like, you know what, if you're an artist, you can do it. Like you have, like, think about it this way, you have the features, you have like the base here, all you have to do is enhance it. So it's really interesting because I guess like it's so related, being an artist, like for painting and being a makeup artist, it's so intertwined.
Yeah, for sure.
What made you fall in love with PR and marketing? Was there one thing that really was like, I need to do this for the rest of my life? Like this, I'm very passionate about this.
Okay. So to be completely honest, like I was one of those like people that like I went to post-secondary because I had to go to post-secondary. Like I didn't really know what I was going for. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like at 18, as we mentioned, like you're still such a baby. Like you don't even know what you really like at 18, you know?
Right.
So I kind of like went for like major to be determined, taking courses. My guidance counselor was like, oh, you have like enough to be like a soc major. And I'm like, okay, like I kind of like the courses. Let's just do that and we'll figure it out. And then it was just kind of during a time where, you know, like social media was starting to come up and like, you know, networking events that kind of push those on you when you're in university and things like that. And I was like, okay, I kind of want to know like the behind the scenes of all of this. And I got into PR and I went to college. So I went to the post-grad Seneca at York program. And personally, like I found it so interesting. Like after I started taking my first few classes there, I was like 1,000% marketing and PR is what I want to do. Like being hands-on with the clients, help executing dreams, working with brands, starting from like a brand that, you know, is just as often taking it to the next level.
Right.
That is something I can see myself doing, working one-on-one with clients and like creating those dreams. Like that is something I need to do. So it wasn't until I kind of took a leap on, you know, kind of reevaluated at the end of university, what are my interests? What do I like to do? And what can I do with this very, generic sociology is like, it's not very specialized. It's kind of a generic, what can I do with it? Mm-hmm. So that's how it happened. And then it wasn't until I was in college that I was like, wow, I'm really enjoying this. And I think that's the difference between university, which is like a little bit more theory based and a little bit more, you know, it's not as hands-on. And that's the one thing I loved about my college experience was we had to plan an event, we had to run a PR campaign, like we had to do all this stuff, and we were getting not marked, like yes, we're getting marked on it, but it was great firsthand experience that I didn't get when I was doing university.
Right.
Do you feel the same way, Shenelle? Because I know that you went to college too, right?
Yes. So I did enjoy my college experience because yeah, like Miranda was saying, you do get a more hands-on experience, which is perfect for me because I'm one of those learners that I have to do it in order for it to stick. Mm-hmm. So I never see myself going to university. So college was always going to be my route in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve. Mm-hmm. And I liked it because, again, you get to do everything hands-on. Like my program that I did was paralegal. So they would do mock trials with us, right? To get us familiar with, actually going to do a case or going to court and things like that, even interviewing somebody for like that you're going to be representing at some point. They gave us experience to do that as well, and drafting motions and all of those things. So I got a lot of experience. I mean, I don't even work in that like realm anymore, but
I feel like that's so
it did teach me a lot. So I did appreciate it a lot.
That's awesome. For me, I feel like I don't even know what to compare it to be honest, because like I only went to university, so I never went to college. So for me, it was all theory based, and exactly what you took, Miranda. I took sociology too and criminology. So for me, it was all theory, but for me, I feel like my university career wasn't really what I knew I was going to go into per se. I had an idea like, oh, this would be cool to go into, but I didn't think like for sure this is what I'm going to be. Does that make sense? Like, so my experiences, I would say that I learned in university sort of created a foundation for who I am today in terms of like critically thinking about things or like human relations, because like I feel like and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Miranda, but I feel like when you do study sociology, you do learn a lot about how people are just naturally. So it really helps with like when you interact with people, you understand like there's certain things about people that they're thinking about or certain reasons for why people do certain things. So like I feel like that for me created a foundation of what like where I am now. Not so much in terms of like the hands-on, because I didn't really have hands-on, if we're being honest. So I feel like sort of not jealous, but I'm sort of envious of you guys because I feel like you did have that hands-on and you were like able to actually see, oh, this is how I create something for myself in terms of like I had to put my work in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I really admire that from both of you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Sarah, I think you said it perfectly. And like, it's so funny how you brought up the sociology and like the way people think. Cause it's one thing when I do talk to like clients or even when I was interviewing for jobs fresh out of college, they were like, okay, you have a sociology degree, but you're looking at this type of, like, I don't see the trajectory. And I was like, and I would sell it as like, listen, like I learned the way that people think. And I learned how society runs the way people think. And when it comes to marketing, I feel like that's a pretty big indication. You want to make sure you're appealing to the masses.
Right.
And I think a lot of people just think like you like sociology, psychology, like they don't always like connect the dots. But once you explain it, they're like, oh, wow, like that's a whole other realm. And you're like, yeah, it is.
It is.
It really only makes sense that you would like sociology would be useful for it. It could be used for anything, to be honest, anything where you have to interact with people or your job requires you to be in constant contact with other people and other individuals. It only makes sense. Like I feel like maybe I should have took sociology because that would make me read people a little bit better, so
it was definitely interesting. Like it wasn't it was one of the ologies compared to like psychology, anthropology, I found like pretty interesting, like to learn how society works and things like that. I was like, oh, okay.
It's interesting because in university, so I was talking to Miranda before the podcast started a little bit. We were just catching up, and I was telling her that I went to Carleton in my first year. So right after high school, I went to Carleton. And in Carleton, I took psychology. And let me tell you guys, it was not for me. It wasn't for me at all. Like I took my classes and I was like, what are you telling me? I have to know science? Like, no thanks. Like I was like, it's not for me. Like,
but you have to know actual science, like P plus H equals A. Like,
I'm not sure. I think I blocked that out of my life for a reason. Like I was just like, I can't do this. Like, and so for me, I was like, you know what? I loved psychology in high school because you know how, like, I don't know, Shenelle, like let me know if this was it for you, but in high school where I went, we had a class that was all three of them combined. So it was like psychology, anthropology, and sociology. And right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, I love psychology. And then you see like, what is it called? Criminal Minds. And you're like,
yes.
Psychologist. And that was like what I aspired to be. I was like, I want to be a psychologist. I want to be on the behavioral like analysis unit, whatever.
Right.
And once I got into it, I was like, you know what? Like,
this isn't for me.
It isn't for me. And it's like, I know my personality, I think, would be better suited for more interaction with humans. Does that make sense? Right. Like on a psychology background, that's like, yes, you are interacting with humans, but I feel like it's like on a one-on-one basis.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
One-on-one, and it's more like you're not giving any information of yourself.
True.
Because you're trying to help that person, right? So you're not sharing, you're just listening and taking that information to help that person.
Right, so, exactly. So for
that's the difference.
I took it and I was like, wait, but I do like dealing with people, but I feel like I like dealing with people on a little bit of a bigger scale. I want to understand like on a macro level, if we're talking university terms. On a macro level, I think it sort of suited me better. So I feel like that's why I went into sociology afterwards. Yeah. But it's interesting. We have that in common, Miranda. I was surprised, but I'm not actually that surprised. I feel like we're very similar.
And it's so funny you say that because I remember just taking like Psych 101, like those basic first year courses, and it was the science for me. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a no from me.
It was the science for me.
No, you like said mitochondria, like I'm out.
Yes.
It's
the
true.
rough ribosomes, like all of that. Nucleus. You guys got me. It's too much.
No
too
way.
Much.
Oh my gosh.
You guys went too in depth with that science stuff. I didn't even take that science in high school. The prerequisite, I even take it. So now
didn't it be necessary?
Right?
I am.
Exactly.
Exactly. So true.
Yes. So Miranda, I do have a question for you for myself. Yeah. Because we're also trying to build our social media, and I also feel like a lot of our listeners would also be interested in getting some information that could help them, at least in a little bit, on how to grow their social media presence and what things they should keep in mind when thinking about the Instagram or YouTube algorithm and how that works. So if you have any pointers or any advice on that, that would be great, because we trying to get our numbers out.
Of course. And I know this is going to sound so annoying. And even when I hear other people say it, like I kind of roll my eyes, but then I have to like roll them back because it's true. Content for your audience is king. Like I fall into this trap all the time. I'm like, oh, I think this is like a really cute quote. This is a really cute photo. But like, is this what my clients or my audience wants to see? So I think that's one thing that we kind of get so trapped in what we think is aesthetically pleasing, what we like, what we want. And then we have to remember that our social media, when we are a brand, like not our personal, but like our brand account, we need to think, what do they need? Like we're trying to fill that white space, that gap. That's what we're trying to provide, some kind of service. And what makes us different? And I think a lot of us, like myself included, you get into these traps of there's millions of other social media managers. Why would they want to work with me? Well, they want to work with you, or they want to listen to your podcast, or they want to book you as a makeup artist because you are you and you have something so unique about you, and you're going to approach something differently than XYZ is going to approach it. And I think we need to remember that and kind of show that off a little bit. Like, one thing with my social media and my, you know, the digital marketing is like, I try to kind of make a spin on it that, you know, it's a little bit girlier, but we're working like one-on-one. Like, I'm not this huge corporation agency. I'm, you know, I am Miranda behind M Media Co. I'm going to sit with you and you're working one-on-one with me. We're collaborating. When it comes in terms of growing your brand, I think, you know, as simple as it might seem, but having like a consistent posting schedule, looking at your Instagram insight, let's see when my audience is most reactive and when they're online. So yeah, it might be convenient for me to post at 8 a.m. because that's when I wake up. But if my audience isn't scrolling until 3, then I need to make some adjustments to make sure my content is hitting my audience. And also what I find too is just taking, maybe a half hour is a lot of time, maybe it's a little bit of time depending on your schedule, but a half hour a day and just connecting with like-minded people in the community. So searching up hashtags that relate to your brand or that are similar with your brand. So I'm just going to use Sara, for instance, because she's a makeup artist. So like, you know, brides, huge, especially during COVID, like they're scrambling right now. So like, you know, looking at upcoming bridal things, or, you know, hashtag just got engaged, things like that, that, you know, might not exactly be my target at the moment, but like that's a potential client soon to be. So you kind of have to think outside the box. And it's so easy, like even for myself, like I could look hashtag social media agency, but I'm just going to hit another social media agency. I'm not going to hit my target client. What about if I reframe that and I look at Toronto small business owner? Now I'm looking at a small business that may need help in social media that I can connect with, and I can like their posts and I can create a dialogue with. So I think sometimes we have to, I know I do this a lot, reframe it. Like it's not about me, it's about my audience and what answers are they trying to solve and how can I bring that. In terms of algorithm, this is one tip that I know, it's so true. Instagram loves Instagram. So you could have the most beautiful content you've ever created, but Instagram loves Instagram. So if your content is, you know, if you are on Instagram, if you're using hashtags, if you're on Reels, if you're on IG Live, if you're using Instagram's entire platform, they're going to favor your content and push that on the top of everyone's platform. If you're just having like one post, you know, that's like a quote, and it might be the most resonating quote to everybody in the world, but Instagram's not seeing it like that. That algorithm is just reading it as another post. Whereas, you know, maybe you turn that post into a reel and like put some graphics in it. Now Instagram's going to be like, oh, they're using our stuff. Bump this up to everyone's timeline. So I think just my top tips would be for growing the brand is listening to the audience. When your audience is active too, doesn't matter if it's convenient, even if you have to use an auto scheduler, by all means, hopefully I'm saying that right, later, things like that. Definitely use them to the best of your ability, and engage with other people. Like obviously have your, you know, tribe of people that are similar to you. There's other social media markets that I follow and I chat with, even if it's just to bounce ideas, and then do some interaction with people that might potentially need you down the road. Get in front of their faces. You know, they may not be searching for you yet, but they might. So you might as well kind of get in front of them and show them what's up a little bit earlier on. So those are some of my takeaways.
Awesome. That is very informative. Yeah, that was great.
Oh, thank you.
It's all things I never really thought about. Like I switched my account to a business account or like the creator account, and it does show you like your statistics, like, you know, your demographic, like if it's more men and the age group and all of that and the times, but I didn't know what to do with that information or how to use that information to my advantage. So this is awesome. Like I learned a lot right now.
I'm so happy. But yeah, totally. And I feel like Reels is very similar to TikTok, but and don't get me wrong, like I don't post on TikTok, but I'm always scrolling on TikTok, and I feel like it's such a place, especially with like, you know, like the podcast or even like Sarah's make. Like I feel like there's such a space on Instagram Reels and TikTok for such visual type of things. Like it's a whole new realm. It's like you know what I mean? I feel like these kiddos are like, they have like a whole, like they got on this so long ago, and I'm just like, how do I do this?
And then who is it? Charlie D'Amelio. I think she's only been on TikTok. Like she started her TikTok a year ago, and she has like 1 billion or 1 million followers in a year. How?
Goodness.
How? And all she does is dance on there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I could do that. Like,
like
tiny.
let's set up a camera. But also I tried to do it, and like the dances are dances I would never do. So it's like to catch on and then put it and then do it. It's like,
right.
This is too much. This is why the kids are doing it.
These Gen Zers have a leg up on that. I'll give them their TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok. Like I use Twitter, so
I love Twitter.
I love Twitter. There's so much information on Twitter, and also Twitter is such a great place to like just shoot the shit.
1,000%.
It's a great place for that. It's a great place. That's where all the memes start. That's where all those little inside jokes, those all start on Twitter.
And it's so funny that you mentioned getting your information because, you know, during this whole pandemic, I'm like more likely to go onto my Twitter account and like CP24 has already tweeted everything I need to know, like the cases for the day, lockdowns looking like, you know, instead of me, as lazy as it sounds, like typing it in on Google, like Twitter just kind of sends it to me. And then also, like you said too, it's kind of where you shoot the shit. Like my tweets, like, you know, LinkedIn Miranda, Instagram Miranda, and Twitter, like they're very different Mirandas. Like Twitter Miranda's, you know, she's like just very more blunt and honest and like just more day to day. And it's funny because then you kind of meet your own kind of people on there too that are also very
people that relate to you and like are annoyed about the same things as you. People who, you know, start a thread and the thread is interesting and you're just like, ooh,
right.
like,
so much.
This is so good. I know Twitter is a great place to find like-minded people, or even people that you didn't know that were popular, but you're like, oh, interesting, and you find new people.
1,000%. And I even find it too to like answer some questions. Like there's sometimes like questions I have about, you know, like I'm thinking about taking this course, like has anyone taken it, hashtag, you know, Twitter marketing. And then you get replies from people following that hashtag and they're like, girl, don't take it, don't, or like, oh my gosh, it was so helpful, by all means. So I feel like you get a lot of you can find a lot of great answers. And then on the flip side, like sometimes I just want to tweet about Real Housewives, and you know, there's a whole bunch of people that is,
oh my gosh, Miranda, you watch Real Housewives?
I love it all. Okay, which one's your favorite? If you have to choose your favorite.
So right now, my favorite is Potomac. Okay. But that's because they have a lot of drama.
Me too.
My favorite for a long time was Beverly Hills.
I love Beverly Hills because it's so classic, and now I'm just like, hey, you guys.
So boring now.
So boring. Like the dog gate. I was like, seriously? Like this is not
like what are we talking about, guys? Come on. Like is that all there is for you guys today? But I understand they're rich women. I mean, their show's called Real Housewives, right? So it's like
I've been because Hey You has every season.
Every single season of every Housewives franchise.
So my mom and I have a standing date on Saturdays where we pop a bottle of Prosecco and we catch up on a Housewives. So right now we're in New York. So we started New York from season 1 and I'm like in tears. I'm like, this one never disappoints. I feel like New York's always some great drama.
Always good.
Always. There's every episode I'm like, oh, like Ramona. You're making me cringe, girl. But like I love it. Don't stop.
Always.
Yeah. So and I feel like just because like I'm like that, you know, like that Italian girl at heart, my heart belongs in Jersey because like the OG Teresa table flip is in my mind forever. So I feel like I have a special place in my heart for Jersey, even though I find that Jersey, they air a lot of their stuff on Instagram. Like you just follow them on Instagram and you know what's up. Whereas New York, I find them a little bit more private. Like I can follow them on Instagram and then watch their show and I'm still like,
right? Like you're like, oh my God. Like,
have you started the new one? Salt Lake City?
No, but I've been hearing good things about Salt Lake City.
I was very, I was like, it's like nothing's going to be drama about it. Like it sounds boring. And I've actually been pretty impressed.
Right. So I seen a couple of clips about there was this girl, she was Mormon, but now I think she converted to Islam. Yeah. So that storyline was quite interesting. From the clips that I seen, I was like, all right, I think I'm gonna watch this. I have to finish up Potomac, and Atlanta started recently.
Yes, and it's Nene that's not on it anymore. She decided to step down.
So Nene's not on it anymore, and I'm like, where am I going to get all my jokes from?
Right?
Because Nene was the queen.
She was on it for like, she was one of the longest running housewives. So like that was and she stepped out on her own terms. So, you know, like she probably just had enough. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to do this.
Apparently they said that, you know, it's the money. I think Andy wasn't meeting her where she wanted to be because she's like, you know, I'm a driving force on this show. You guys got to pay me. You know what I mean?
That's 1,000% though.
Right. And then they were all like, I guess they weren't wanting to give her that. So she was like, okay, bye.
Right.
I feel like she'll be back though. I
hope that Bravo kind of meets her halfway because she is kind of holding up the show in the situation. Like she's the one that kind of brings it and kind of stirs it all. And like,
yes,
I feel like they're going to see a season without her. It's going to take a hit and they're going to smarten up and be like, okay, we gotta call our girl back. We got to meet her halfway.
But also Atlanta has a girl from Toronto on it, LaToya.
Yes.
She's from Toronto. So
that's kind of cool.
I know. I used to watch her on Instagram and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like if she had a reality show, it would be good because she kind of like structured her YouTube that way for it to be a reality show with her, her kids, and her husband. Yeah. And now she's on the show. So I'm like, ooh, this would be interesting. But you know, they always kind of script things or they, you know, embellish a little bit. So
of course.
We'll see. But I'm interested. I am so
something to look forward to. Like we need to in the pandemic. So Real Housewives has been what it's been for me.
I agree.
You guys can hate me.
You don't watch Housewives?
I've only ever watched like maybe one episode and maybe not even that. Like maybe like 10 minutes.
You know,
listen, that's how I started too. But I developed a reality TV show addiction. So
it's so true.
I love everything.
I find like I'm gonna be completely honest. Like the premises is kind of silly. Like I'm watching rich women spend their money and like
and then complain about it.
So I'm like, why am I gonna watch this? But then like I have to admit, Sarah, you got to get through like one season of like, and then once you get to that one season, the characters have kind of have their own personalities. You're like, okay, now I see why I tune in. But I find it's kind of difficult, as I was saying, because everything's on social media, so you kind of know what's going on before the show hits. Which 5 years ago, even with Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I feel like.
Girlfriend, don't even get me started on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like that's like my guilty pleasure. Like I watch it not because I think like, oh, like they're so cool. I don't watch it because of that. I watch it because it's so entertaining. Like you're on the edge of your seat and you're like, oh, what's Scott gonna say next? Or like, you know, like
that's exactly why I watch social reality TV because I'm like, number one, it's a break from everything I'm going through.
1,000%.
That's number one. Number two, it's like it's rich people problems. It's problems I will never have.
No,
I want to see
living vicariously through them.
Exactly.
This is it. I'm like, let me live my rich life. Let me live my best rich life through them.
Exactly. And let me just watch them. Let me drink my wine.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Let me watch these rich people with their rich people problems. I get
and I love the first few seasons of Kardashians when it was they're so iconic. So iconic.
So iconic.
The whole thing.
So funny.
Have you guys watched the whole thing from the beginning?
Yes.
I had to.
And it's like I was kind of sad when they said that they were we all kind of knew.
Yeah, we knew it was gonna end.
It was coming, but it's still kind of sad and like you know some of those iconic things of like millennial culture is the Kardashians. Like Kim's crying face is iconic.
Yes, there you go, exactly.
That's a meme. I used it for like months.
Right?
I like saved that picture and anytime like if I was laughing really hard like and I wanted to express that. Send that Kim emoji.
Exactly.
It fits.
It makes sense.
So so many lines like you can say to someone, "Don't be effing rude," and you know exactly. I'm coming in with the bag. Like,
I
had to ruin my moment. Oh my gosh, anytime someone does something great, you're doing great, like you have to say that.
You're doing great, sweetie. Or
So
Kim,
good.
there are people dying.
Oh my gosh,
I
like,
know.
and I feel like it's so, like, that is something that, like, we need to hit home sometimes to some people, you know, like there's people that are dying. Like,
totally.
Like Kim, people are dying.
So funny.
True. Oh my gosh.
So
and it's the early Kardashian era that was just that's so many lines, so iconic. Even like the way they dressed, like I feel like they really kind of like shaped the way.
Oh my God, so much.
They shape the way pop culture, like everyone in popular culture dresses right now. Even like even the way they look, like girls get surgery to look like that.
Absolutely. I also feel
it's
like
insane.
The whole idea of like contouring was really popped off with Kim, right? So it's like
it was
that whole like that is like an evolution of makeup, even like
you being a makeup artist, like you kind of always known it, but like Kim Kardashian does it, and now you know girls going to school are contouring, and you're like, okay, we've done it for a while, but like now you know, like a 13-year-old, I didn't look like that when I was testing out makeup at 13.
No,
I look crazy. I look like I was wearing a mask.
Yeah. With our thin eyebrows. Remember, Sarah, you were mentioning one thing that you don't hope comes back, and I could not agree more.
I agree.
Little eyebrows that like Christina Aguilera had, and we thought we're like, oh, I remember for like one hair, I'd be like, no. Like, you know what's so interesting, you guys, is that trend actually, I was looking back on my photos from like, I'm gonna say less than 10 years ago. I'm gonna say less than that. And I had skinny brows. And I was like, wait, I thought that like stopped in the 90s, but it really didn't.
No,
like even in high school, we had
when we were in high school, for sure. I think it stopped in like maybe the 2010 era. That's when everybody was like, okay, guys, you need to have like these IG baddie eyebrows.
Right. I think even after that, when I was in 2010, I was 16. And I still had my really thin brows. Even when I met Miranda, I feel I still had thin brows.
I feel I was definitely not filling in my brows when we were in retail.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
Yeah. That was back in like 2012, 2013. So I'm like, wow, like I feel like it's so recent.
Yeah.
Like there's certain trends that like have lasted a very long time, and it's like, wow, like you wouldn't have thought of it just because time flies, it seems. But, you know?
And it's so funny. I'm sure if your moms are like mine, I remember those days of us plucking, and she'd be like, stop, you're going to regret it when you're older. I was like, Mom, I cannot have a unibrow. Literally like the farthest thing from a unibrow, but like so paranoid. And like now she sees me or my sister in the morning getting ready, like putting them on, and she was like, did you do some damage? And I was like, as I'm painting them.
My mom's always like, oh, look, your eyebrows were so full and bushy before, and look at them now. And I'm like, I like them. They are. Thank you. And they're not even that skinny. Okay, I have some eyebrows once these come off. Like, they're there. You can see them.
That's the thing right now, too, with eyebrows, is like, you can have really beautiful brows, but I feel like there's a trend right now, and I'm sure that you both have seen it, where it's like the soap brow. Right?
Yes.
And for me, I like look at that and I'm like, oh my God, I like daydream about it. I'm not even joking, you guys. I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, it looks
I can't get my eyebrows to stay up like that.
I can't for the life of me. And it bothers me. It bothers me so much because I'm like, I want to live my best life.
I want to do that.
You know?
What I'm thinking of perming my eyebrows. You know, because when you perm them, they do whatever you want them to do.
This is it.
So if I do it, but the thing is, I don't want to do it and then my eyebrows fall out.
That's also a possibility.
Because then it's going to take a long time for them to grow back. And what if they don't grow back the same?
You know what though?
Like a bald spot.
I will say, I know at least one other person, she's a makeup artist as well, and she has no brows. And she draws them on every single day. And I feel like she does it because there's so much freedom to like have like your eyebrows go like all the way up here if you wanted to, or like have them straight or have them curved or have them angled. You know what I'm saying? There's so much variety.
I have a fear about that though, because like if I have no eyebrows, how am I gonna like figure out where my eyebrow muscle is? So when I'm surprised they actually move, you know what I mean? Like, what if I do them too high up, or if I do them too low?
Yeah, I need some kind of something to go off.
Something. Yeah, I need like a stencil.
Yeah.
Okay. Holla at ABH, Anastasia Beverly Hills, because they have stencils.
They got eyebrow
stencils. Hell yes. And they're sick. They're because if we're all on the same page here, Anastasia Beverly Hills, ABH has the best brow products in my opinion. Their brow, their brow wiz, their stencils, everything. Like they're just like experts at brows. And so if you guys ever have that happen to you where you are without any brows or know anyone that
made a mistake,
whatever the case, the brow stencils are it. They are it. I promise.
Oh.
I'm kind of interested. So what I've been interested in is like, you know, that e-girl trend right now,
girl,
eyebrows are straight.
Oh, I love it. Oh, we don't.
I want to try it, but like, I also don't want to shave my eyebrows off to do that because you have to shave off the tail.
I was literally, Shenelle, I was literally on the verge of doing it. So if you guys see, these are my natural brows, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I just take this off? What if I just take it off? And I'm still debating it. I'm still like, oh my God, what if I do it? What will I regret it? Like, I'm just like, I think.
You know what? If you do it, it's not that bad because you're shaving it off at the arch, right? So you know right from there, if you're like, you know what, I fucked up, I don't like it. You can just draw the bottom tail piece.
It's like
true.
It's what you do for a living. You know what I mean? Like if anyone fix your brows,
right.
like you know me, if I do that, I'm gonna be like, well,
this I guess I look like this. I guess I'm gonna look like this until they grow back.
I'll learn the hard way, obviously.
Yep. There you go. It's so true, you guys. But Shenelle, I get it. I get that so much. And like for me, it wasn't even the e-girl trend that really made me want to do that. Guess who it was?
Was it Nikita Dragon?
No. Someone a little bit bigger.
Are you talking about Summer Walker?
No.
Okay. So I'm not sure.
Oh. Her brows, guys. Oh my God. Like in the summertime I did the white liner look from
Yeah, the graphic liner.
Okay. Yes. And I was like, this isn't gonna look right. Because
because my eyebrows not straight.
Right. And I was like, how is this gonna work? Am I gonna make this work? How is this gonna look good? Like, how is it gonna look like that? And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Am I gonna have to do like the drag
glue it down?
Gluing it down. And I was like, you know what? No. I'm gonna keep my brows and I'm gonna make it work. Because I'm like, if I'm having this issue, there's so many people having this issue. Do you know what I mean?
So like I better just do it to show them that they can do it without having those straight ass eyebrows.
Exactly.
So that's what I did. But that's basically like that from the summertime. I was like, I really want to. I love those straight brows. Like,
me too. So and I'm just so worried because I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should just try it and do the drag queen, glue it down. That's the best way. That's the best way to do it without sacrificing your eyebrow quality. You know? And not having to worry about it growing back.
Exactly.
And if you guys are dead set on it, then at least you guys have attempted. And you're like, okay, now I'm gonna actually take the plunge and give it a little, shave it off.
Right.
I'm just gonna say something. I've done this before and I loved it.
Oh,
really? Wait, I don't remember this.
Because I didn't tell you. It was a mistake. I was tweezing my brows like I normally do, and I did a little bit too much because I don't really have an arch. Like Shenelle has a really nice arch. She has more of my dad's eyebrow shape, and I have more of my mom's, which her eyebrows are amazing because they just go straight across her forehead. They're just straight block eyebrows. So I have more of that shape with a little tail on the end. So sometimes I fake it, and then I thought I fucked up a little bit. I'm like, well, you know what? Just commit to it, and I took it all off, and I loved it.
Oh, bomb. See?
Yes.
First hand review.
See, now I know that I can do it because me and my sister kind of have like similar face shape and features. So I'm like, it's gonna look good on her. It'll look good on me.
And honestly, ladies, I feel like now is the time if you guys are going to do something drastic. We're in quarantine. No one's going to have to see. No one's going to. And then if it works, then once we're, allowed back out in public, you can do it all over again.
Right?
Play it.
I'm thinking about it. I just feel like I'm going to do it, and I'm going to come out of my room, and my mom's going to be like, what did you do to yourself?
Oh, it's such a mom.
She's gonna roast me, but you know what? That's fine.
Hey gorgeous, thanks so much for continuing to listen. We hope you've had a great time so far. Please don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so that you can get your perfect blend each and every week. Hit us up on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you get your dose of podcasts. Now, let's get back to it.
Let's do a recap of what I said in episode 1. Do what makes your soul happy.
Do what makes your soul happy.
Do what makes your soul happy. If you're gonna do anything, and especially during this time, what Miranda was saying, I feel like right now is time to take those risks. Who's gonna see you? Put a bag on your hair if you're gonna, if you don't like it, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
Who knows how long we're gonna be in this situation? And if dyeing your hair a certain color or shaving your eyebrows is gonna make you happy, then do your thing. I think that's great. I wanted to actually dye my hair pink, believe it or not.
Pink?
Like a pastel pink.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. That would be so cute.
So pretty.
Yeah. And it's so funny because last summer I actually bought all of the stuff from Sally's, like Sally Beauty Supply. And I was like, Sarah, do it. Like, just pull the trigger. So I bought everything. And I was thinking about it, and I overthought it. And then I was like, I'm not going to do it. Because, like, I figured, I was like, if I do it, I'm going to screw this up. Like, I'm going to really screw up my hair. So, but who knows? Now that I have time at home, might as well.
Right? Like, I do the same thing. I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, sounds like a bad idea now. Now that I thought about it for too long, it's a bad idea. Like, I don't want to do this anymore as a bad idea. Like, no.
Right? You start self-doubting yourself.
Yeah.
But, see, I'm on like the opposite end of this. So you guys can't tell because like thankfully Zoom's super forgiving. But like I don't even know how this happened, but like why do I have gray hairs? Why is this a thing? Like
I can never tell.
Oh my gosh. I can't. Well, I mean,
I've mastered covering them up, thank God. But like there's just a few, but like a few too many for my age, aka like more than 0. And I'm like, how is this happening? And then part of me like, I need to dye my hair. I need to like go to the salon, I need to get this fixed. And then I like reel back and I'm like, why am I gonna spend money, drop at least $200 on dyeing my hair? To what?
Just for me to look at it myself in the mirror.
Because 99.9 times out of 10, my hair is in a bun on the top of my head during quarantine. I'm not,
exactly.
I'm working from home right now. So I'm like, once I have to re-enter back into society, we will deal with these 3 pesky grays that are driving me up the wall. But as for right now, I'm saving my money.
Exactly.
So the reverse of quarantine. I'm not going, not doing anything too crazy right yet.
Let me tell you a quick hack.
I'm all about this.
Do you know those root touch-ups?
Yeah.
So why don't you just take those gray hairs and then just like pull it down?
Oh,
like those brush ones, like the
they have like a mascara spoolie.
That is so. It's literally just one little family right here. It's just one side, one little family. I look at my mom and I'm like, you did this because this is exactly how you started.
Right.
And her hair's black. So for her, it's so easy to cover, like to a degree. Like I feel like it's easy because it's easy to match her hair color. Whereas like I naturally have lighter hair.
Yeah.
I feel like covering grays with blonde is easy, but it's more maintenance. So opposed to when it's black, you just dye your hair black and you're done with it.
Right. So true.
And blonde is so much harder to maintain, like on its own, like just period, like. Just having blonde hair, period. So to fix or to like cover a gray, that sounds like so much work that I don't have.
No. Whereas like they're dark, so I think the root touch-up would be the perfect situation.
Yes,
but I will say to what Shenelle was saying, that for blondes, because I used to be bleach blonde.
Yes.
And so for me, I feel like it's really hard to even color match it. If we're honest, because blondes are there's
so many variations.
So many shades, like, and you have to be like, so like, when I had blonde hair, I had short hair. So then I had extensions to make it longer. And the matching process for that, guys, like, honestly, it was so intense. Like, I was like, might as well just get my extensions and then ask my hairstylist to match.
To do exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
That takes too long.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Which extensions did you have back in the day? Like, did you used to do the tape-ins or the fusion? Clip-ins. Oh my gosh. I remember the day of the clip-ins. Oh my gosh.
I was like honestly, the clip-ins and like the bead ones and whatever, like that came after. Like, I feel you know, like in high school I had extensions too, believe it or not, and the whole time it was always the clip-ins, like always. And I would sit like at home and I would sew my hair together, like it was like a whole thing, and like put the glue together in it, like it was like, there was so much like heart that went into my extensions. They were my hair, you know what I mean? Like
so much. It's like it's so much effort and so much time. It's time consuming to do it. But then once you did it, you're like, I did such a good job.
Oh girl, I was like, I sprayed this hair, like
right?
It's like
ooh, I'm gonna do everything with this hair. Nobody's gonna know it's not my hair though.
No. And the blend though. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this for a second.
Yes.
The blend, I swear the blend sometimes can be so evident, and I'm like, girlfriend, is no one gonna tell you? Like, I feel like, you know, there's times where you see it and you're like, wow, like this.
Why didn't anybody tell you?
Yeah.
This needs to be blended, and like,
or does it match? Like your hair texture and this hair texture are not the same.
No, and it's like I think about it like, and let's bring it back to like the eyebrow situation. Like, I had a girlfriend, she was telling me once, she was like, yeah, back in the day I had brick eyebrows. Like, she would draw them in like thick, and they would be like close like this, like, you know.
Oh my god.
Like, how come none of my friends told me? She's like, how come none of my friends told me I look ridiculous?
You know what I think it is? Because I kind of went overboard too. I had like that halo effect on my eyebrows, like, you know, because when you're learning, they do the concealer on the outside and everything. So I was using the lighter concealer, and that's not what you're supposed to do, sweetie. So I feel like because it's something new that you're trying, like back then, not everybody was doing that. So they were like, oh, you must want to look like that. So no one's saying anything, right? Because they're like, I don't want to make her feel bad or tell her her eyebrows don't look good if this is something I'm not even doing to myself. So this must be the objective, right? This must be what she wanted. So that's probably why no one said anything to her. Not because, you know, they thought it looked good or they didn't. They were probably like, she probably wanted that. So
that's the vibe.
That's the vibe. That's what she was. That was the end result that she was going for.
And it's funny too. Like, so I used to actually put in hair extensions. Like, that was one of my part-time jobs. And like, it feels like so long ago. Well, like, my sister loves it because like I'll still like she'll bring home like tape-ins or something, and like I'll still like do them for her. But my one tip is like, anyone that's wearing extensions and like you're not 100% sure about them, curl them. The minute you curl extensions, it hides it all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't straighten them.
Best advice ever.
Right? Like, I know you think you look like a goddess with those long straight extensions, but like if there's the smidge of a mistake, we're gonna see it. So curl up your hair, tease it up a little bit, and I will not be able to tell. Even like the most professional hair extension person would not be able to tell. So sometimes you gotta just, you know, don't get me wrong, some people's extensions look phenomenal straight, but like you have to be like absolutely perfect, you know?
Yeah, and your hair has to match, like it has to be bone straight too, right?
And I think people forget that. Like you said, they don't pay attention to their own texture when they buy extensions.
Right. They just kind of throw it in there.
So that is a great, like, honestly, that is like the greatest advice ever, Miranda. God bless you for saying that. Another thing I just thought of, like, on the top of my head is when I had shorter hair, because it's especially hard when you have shorter hair, because you're gonna see that part.
Do you know what I mean? It's that blunt, that blunt end.
But another hack, let's talk about hair hacks. Yes. Okay. When you have extensions, the higher that you put them up your hair, the more it'll look blended.
Yes.
So that's another hack. If you have hair extensions that are clip-ins or tape-ins or whatever, the higher you put them, the more it will be like,
it'll hide.
Like it will be like, what is it called?
Streamlined.
Blend.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Exactly. Blended. Yes. 100%. So that, I would say that that's the case. Honestly, all of us have went through this weave extension phase, honestly.
Girl, I would have like a little bit of leave out, and I would be like on my way to school, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to flat iron it. We're just going to go. And it would be so different. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. This is high school. I don't care what any of y'all think of me anyway.
Right.
So, oh my gosh. If it looks a little like, you know, a little extra curly, or like, you know, a little kinky at the top, mind your business. All right. I'm meant for it to be that way.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I love
mind your business.
Right. And I feel like too, like going on the topic of hair. So like my hair, I gave it like a pretty like decent cut, because I always had long hair. Like I was, you know, I chopped it once, like 13, because I thought, and I'm going to throw a throwback in here, Kristen Cavallari from Laguna Beach. Like I wanted to.
Yes.
So I cut it like her, and, you know, didn't look like her. And I was like, so after that, I was like, I am never cutting my hair again. Mm-hmm. So quarantine came, and I'm like, you know what? Like my hair needs some TLC. So I'm like, pulled like a full on Girl Interrupted. And I was like, I need to cut my hair. Like I need to get rid of it. So I didn't cut. I went to go get it cut. But holy, like short, going from like long to short is like, no one tells you the like styling it. Like curling short hair is like, you need to be a miracle worker. Like I cannot name it. I'm having such a hard time. It's straight or like the low Kim Kardashian bun. Like that's the only two things I've been doing.
Are you serious? Because I would think that the maintenance is a lot better for shorter hair, like in terms of styling, whatnot.
No, I used to be able to style my long hair in like 5 minutes. Like I would just split it down the sides, curl one side, curl the other, put some wave spray, tease it up, and I'd be like, okay, good to go. It could be like, short hair, I feel like you can see so much imperfection. Like if a curl's not going the right way, you're like, oh, I know more.
That's very true. Unless you're bald, you can't get away with a lot with short hair. If one thing's askew, the whole hair, the whole style's fucked up.
Interesting.
It's so true.
That is so interesting. I didn't know that. I feel like I would speak to that exactly what you're saying, Miranda. I've only ever cut my hair short, like I'm gonna say a handful of times in my life. Like for the most part, it's always been long. So I'm like, I don't even remember if I had difficulty styling it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's been so long. But that's so interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I only, like, to be completely honest, I literally only cut it short because like working from home, quarantine, like the chance of me, you know,
you're like, it'll grow to a certain length by the time we all can go outside anyway.
1,000%.
And then you'll be able to curl it and do all the things you normally do.
Right back to the beginning.
Exactly. So.
It does feel a lot better now though. I'm like, oh, my hair actually feels like hair and not like dead straw. So like,
right. And it's probably going to grow longer and healthier and be more resilient because you're not doing as much to it anyway. So
that's so, and I think you ladies could probably say the same thing. It's like the amount of like, how often are you guys actually like styling your hair with heat day in and day out?
Rarely. And I would say I've styled my hair with heat maybe twice since all of this has happened. And that's just me blow drying my hair. That's not like flat ironing or anything. It's just blow drying. I rarely blow dry my hair. So
I rarely blow dry my hair too. I would say I'm more of like a straightener girl. I have naturally straight hair. Like for the most part, this would be my natural hair. But sometimes when you sleep on it, and I'm sure you guys know, like sometimes you sleep on it, sometimes it goes in like certain bends or whatever. But so when I went back to work at Mac, I had to like style my hair, obviously. But the thing with hair, it's so interesting, is that I feel like you don't really need to wash it as much as you think you do.
No.
I wash my hair maybe once or twice a week.
Max.
Tops. Like,
I wash my hair once a week because, but also like for my hair texture, like curlier hair, we need moisture. So we have to add moisture to the hair in order for it to be healthy. So washing it often isn't always the best because you're getting rid of all of those oils that it needs.
Yeah.
So,
and it's the natural oils too, right? Like I feel like a lot of girls like will say, no, I can't survive like my days if I don't wash my hair every single day. And it's like, just let your hair chill and you'll realize that you could. Like, you know what I mean? It's a misconception, I feel. Like, you don't have to wash your hair every day.
I always feel like I can style my hair better when it's a little dirty.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It does what I need it to do. When it's clean, I'm like, oh my God, it's taking me forever. Like, and I'm like, I want to give up. I'm like over it. I'm like, I shouldn't have washed my hair. I should have left it dirty.
I disagree only because I have really thin, straight hair. So for me, even if it's one day, there's already oils that are in my hair. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's already oily, so it's harder for me to style it. I feel like once it's clean and I've blow dried it, then I'm like, okay, now we're working with something. Like now there's volume, now there's like some type of life to it. Do you know what I mean? Like it depends though. Everyone has different
everyone's hair is different.
Everyone's hair is different. Just like everyone's skin is different.
Oh
yes.
How has your skin been during quarantine, ladies?
Oh my God.
Great question.
So now that it's colder, my skin has been like, I have dry patches like on my cheeks, on my forehead here, like on my chin. My nose and my under eye area is still quite oily, but everywhere else is dry.
Okay. And is this like something that happens every winter or like just more so this winter?
It does happen often, but not as dry as it's been.
Okay.
So it does get more dry. Like I will notice like flaky, like skin is like getting kind of flaky. But then, you know, after I do some like stuff to it, add some like moisturizer and things like that, then it gets better. But it's been consistently really dry the last couple of days, and I'm like,
you know why?
Probably because I'm inside too much. No, but that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, because the air ventilation. So when you're outside, your face is exposed to like, you know, outside beautiful
moisture, right?
That's renewed all the time, right? But once you're sticking inside for so long, the air circulation and ventilation, it's like reusing the same air, right? Unless you open your windows a little bit.
Yeah.
But typically that's why you get really dry skin inside during the winter months.
Interesting.
What about yours, Sarah? How's your skin been since like quarantine?
Girlfriend, my skin, it's so strange because you would think like with wearing the mask, you would get like maskne, which I'm going to say has happened to me maybe once. And it was like right here, like a pimple right here. But that's it. Like it was nothing like here, not so much, or not here.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a lot of hormonal acne. And I'm not sure why. I think just my hormones have been just like out of whack. But mostly like around my forehead, I would say like maybe even like here, like along my like contour. But apart from that, I feel like it's maybe once a month, if that. Like otherwise my skin typically is like clear.
That's good.
Yeah. And it's just like how we were saying in the other podcast with Shenelle, it's how you prep your skin, right? So it's like how you take care of it at night, how you take care of it in the morning. That will really determine how your skin is going to be reacting, period. Whether it's cold, whether it's hot. But yeah, so I would say like just making sure that you're exfoliating at least once a week. And making sure that you're moisturizing every single day. If you're going outside, making sure that SPF is on, girl. Like that's so important. Like your skin will thank you.
Because you won't be getting all those wrinkles and like crow's feet and like, and it'll be so much better for you.
Absolutely. And one thing that's such a misconception about like skin is that a lot of people think, oh, it's like what is that word?
Cloudy,
overcast, cloudy, and I don't need to put SPF because the sun's not out. No. Like
it comes through those clouds, girl.
Exactly.
It comes right on through those clouds, just like how it comes through the window in your house.
Exactly.
It can come through the clouds. Okay, clouds is nothing but water vapor. Okay.
Exactly.
So
I would say that would probably be one of the most important parts of your skincare, SPF.
Hands down, for sure.
Hands down.
And I know you mentioned, like I saw a post the other day that you posted about exfoliants, and you kind of broke down like AHA, BHA, physical exfoliants, and like they kind of have all their place, but like your personal preference for your skin, like what do you kind of go with?
I would say based on that post too, like you can always holla at your girl on Instagram to see the post. Bye. I would say my favorite is chemical exfoliants, and that would be for anyone. Okay, so the reason why is because physical exfoliants often have material within it that can create micro tears in your skin. So like for instance, you can think, oh, I have a berry scrub and I have like, it's going to dissolve in me massaging it into my face. It will dissolve. Right. There's often, so like, I'm going to give you an example actually that you'd probably be surprised about, but it's really interesting to know. I think if I'm not mistaken, Kylie Jenner has her Kylie Skin, and she has a exfoliator that's with walnuts, and walnuts are found in some exfoliants because it is so like
abrasive.
Right. However, walnuts don't disintegrate. So where do you think all of those micro walnuts are going if you're massaging your skin, right? You don't know how hard to go. You don't know how long to go. Like typically she's not going to be like, yeah, you do this for 8 minutes and don't go so hard. Like she's not telling you those instructions. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like often you will see girls, and it's sad because it's a lot of younger demographic, you know what I mean? Younger girls that are like, oh my God, let me scrub this so hard so I can get really in there. And it's like, no, you're actually doing the opposite. You're actually like really affecting your skin and maybe even causing it to be sensitive at the end of the day, right? So for me, using a physical exfoliant, I don't highly not suggest it because everyone has their own preference, but I would say that it's not my favorite, and I don't recommend that off the top of my head. I would highly recommend chemical exfoliants because they get down into your layers of your skin, and they're so much more, I guess, nicer for you. Like you're just doing it softly. It's so much there's not a lot of damage that's being caused. If anything, you're actually helping your skin rejuvenate. You know what I mean?
You're helping your skin change cells more effectively.
Yeah. I will say something. I'm sorry. I have to correct myself because in our last podcast, I mentioned that sebum was dead skin cells and dirt, which it is not. Sebum is actually excess oil. So I have to correct myself before people come for me and they're like, Sarah, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But so I like a combination of the two. I don't use like St. Ives or anything like that. The one or the exfoliator that I use, the physical one, it's by Good Molecules, and it's a powder.
Oh,
add water to it, and it starts out kind of not rough, but you can feel little beads in it, and then it dissolves. Okay. So as you're washing your face, the all of the scrubbers in it dissolves, and it turns into like a creamy lather.
Oh.
It's nice, and it washes off. So I use that. Like for example, right now my skin is peeling, so I'm not going to use a chemical exfoliator because that's just going to make my skin peel more, but I want to get rid of all of that skin that's kind of peely. So I use that the powder exfoliator instead, and that does help get rid of it, and it also kind of like buffs the skin and kind of gives it like a nice like smoother appearance without having to wait a couple of days for the chemical exfoliant to work, because it doesn't, you like, if you put it on today, it's not like, once you take it off, it's not like you don't see results right away. It takes a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's what I do.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they have different brands. So Good Molecules has one. They're really affordable. I think I paid $10 for mine.
It's
It's
really
like a bottle like this, and the packaging is sustainable too because they use glass. They don't use that much plastic. And Dermatologica has one as well. They have one with rice powder, and it does the same thing. It dissolves. So I would say I'd use a combination of the two.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to make another recommendation.
Sure.
I would also suggest, if you do have dry skin during like the winter months and you do want to take off any like dead skin cells that you see, like any flakes in your skin, I would also recommend maybe doing like a mask. So like a very hydrating mask, that way you have it on, and especially if there's any ones that peel, that way you're taking off all of that excess and you're taking that off, but also while still hydrating your skin, because that's what your skin is essentially needing, right? That hydration. Another thing I want to just mention, sorry, I will stop rambling, but another thing I want to mention is with regards to physical exfoliants, especially ones that do not disintegrate into, like a lather, like Shenelle was mentioning. I just want to make it known, just because for me it's important, like it actually is not very good for the environment, because especially if it's not disintegrating, like it will go to the oceans and it will affect the marine life in the oceans. So
it also clog up your whole septic system in your house. Like if you're using it on a regular basis, or you're using a lot of it, that will clog it up.
Exactly. So for me, like that's also another reason why I don't really like favor the physical exfoliants, just because I feel like they are so damaging in multiple ways. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, but so Miranda, what about you? Do you exfoliate? And if you do, like, do you use a physical or a chemical?
Okay, so I'm similar to Shenelle, where there's two options that I kind of gravitate towards. One is, and I can't find it here, I can only get it in the States, so like I'm kind of sad that I have to like cross the border to find this. It's the Bliss Glow Jelly Peel. So it's like, it feels like Jello. And I think like Boschia has something similar. I can never say that.
Yeah, or Bossica, or I say Bossica, but it's probably Boschia.
I have no idea. So it's similar to that. So it's like a jelly, and I'll do it like right when I get out of the shower, when it like just, my skin's still damp, and it feels like Jello, and I rub it on my skin, and like little balls of my skin come, like all my dead skin. And I'm like, this is so disgusting, but so satisfying at the same time.
That sounds so satisfying.
I'm like, this is gross, but I love it. And then if I'm gonna do like more of the chemical exfoliant, I love the Pixie Glow Tonic.
Yes, I use the Pixie Glow Tonic as well.
It takes away all my little bumps that I get on the side of my face. It like erases them. Like, the next day I notice such a difference. I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff's like a miracle worker.
Yeah, that's like, Pixie gets a bad rap a lot of the time because they're always like, oh, it has fragrance. And it's like,
my God, I was about to say that, Shenelle.
It does have fragrance, but it does work for some people.
Yeah.
And it's reasonably priced. It's not overpriced. And it is a drugstore brand too. So you're getting a great price, and it is quite good quality. The only thing that's really problematic about it is that it contains fragrance, and a lot of people may not be they may not have reactions to it, but other people it's fine.
Exactly.
And if it works, it works. I love it.
So similar. I don't use it too often though. It's the Ordinary glycolic acid, the 7%.
Yes.
I love
it. I love all their stuff. I just find like that one's a little bit stronger than the Pixie. So like if I'm out of the Pixie and I use that one, like I notice it's like a little bit more, not that it damages my skin anyway, but I definitely notice my skin might feel a little bit tighter. So like just to up the hyaluronic acid, or like a thicker night cream that night. It does its job. I just need to be a little bit more conscious on the follow-up product.
Right, exactly. You can't pick something else that's like gonna be exfoliating as well. True. Because they make like, okay, this is an overnight exfoliating product, and you put a cream over it, obviously, And then that thing might be exfoliating too, because it is a nighttime product. You have to be conscious, like you want to maybe pick something that's hydrating instead, to kind of restore the moisture balance in your skin so you don't break out. Right? So
it gets mad and it's like it starts to have like a little party up here, and I'm like, oh, that's because I like totally should not have used my retinol like 3 days in a row. Like, give my skin a break. It's really rebelling back at me.
I want to do a recommendation, just because in case any listeners want to know, or in case Miranda wants to try it, or Shenelle even. There is a it's by Noid. So Noid is from The Ordinary. It's by Decium. And this cleanser, it's like a concentrate of like some like fruit or something from like South America, something like this. It's like a concentrate. And this thing is the most, like, when I tell you, if you have acne and you're like, I don't know what's going to make it go away, this thing will erase everything. It is like the most cleansing thing in the world. It's my favorite. And it's called Sanskrit saponins. I know it's crazy.
Sanskrit saponins. And you know what I like about The Ordinary is their pricing.
Oh my God. So good.
So reasonable.
So
like
reasonable.
So good.
And not only is it so reasonable, it's actually like concentrated ingredients. It's like purified ingredients, which is so hard to come by, like in terms of any other brands. Like everyone will be like, oh, there's a combination of ingredients, but no, like The Ordinary, it's like, no, this is what you want, this is what you get. And
it's like literally, if you're buying hyaluronic acid, you're getting hyaluronic acid,
which is amazing, because like you said, so much filler or blends, and like you're paying, you know, it's your skin. You want to make sure that whatever you're putting on it is like close to natural as possible, if that's to go. But you want to make sure what you're putting on it is benefiting it, and you're not paying for just other junk.
Right. Exactly. That's my main thing. And it's also a Canadian brand, so it's like local businesses.
That's even better. That's so cool.
That's right. It's even better. Like, it's like, well, I might as well just buy from The Ordinary.
I did not know that.
Fun fact of the day with Sarah, another Canadian brand that you guys probably had no idea was Canadian is actually MAC.
No.
MAC was founded and originated in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, by two individuals named Frank and Frank.
No way.
Frank and Frank. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. For some reason I thought like the person who created it was from like Quebec. I don't know where I heard that or where I got that idea, but I didn't know like they actually like it's a Canadian company.
It's a Canadian company.
That's awesome.
From Toronto.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I think too, like, because, you know, you see it on a lot of like gift-lets, and American based content creators will talk about MAC, because you just kind of assume
totally
exactly.
Like the more you know,
right? And you hear more about MAC from the first time I had any idea about MAC, it was from my sister, my oldest sister, because she had all the products. She had blush, she had foundation, she had all of those things, but I didn't know where it came from. I was just like, oh, she has money because she's buying MAC, like, you know. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, there's other brands, but I guess MAC was the most diverse in terms of like what their products offered, and in terms and also skin color ranges.
Hell yeah.
But I had no idea, because any time I've ever heard about it is like from American makeup artists, like MAC this, MAC that, you know. It was used in like catalogs and runway shows, right? So I was always like, oh, okay, MAC must be an American brand, you know.
1000%.
Now we know. That's so interesting. The more you know.
The more you know. It's so funny too, because I like, you know, when you think about like when you first started doing your makeup and like, you know, the trials and the pitfalls that we used to do, but like some staples from when I think back to like 16-year-old me, like my MAC Studio Fix powder, that's a constant in my bag. Like that's like, always a go-to. MAC lip gloss. Remember getting your first?
Hell yes.
First, like it was so shiny.
And
like,
it was super sticky. Everything, your hair stuck to it. It was, but I loved that shit. I loved that shit.
There's no other shine compared to it. It's crazy.
so shiny and so amazing. I was always
Yeah.
like, my lips look so nice today.
Yeah.
Like,
Like as it reflected, it like was a mirror on
right?
your lips. It was a whole other story.
Myself.
And can we just talk about the scent? Like the scent of
Yes.
MAC lipsticks, lip glosses, just like the scent of everything is just so like, oh, delicious. I love it.
I love it because it's not aggressive and overpowering.
Yes.
It's not like a perfume.
It's like vanilla, right?
Yeah, it's
like
like
vanilla, right?
it's like a subtle vanilla scent. It smells good and it's not overpowering, and that's what I'm looking for, because I don't, certain smells give me headaches.
Yeah.
So when it has little to no smell, or it's like it smells fruity, or it smells like a food,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Totally.
1,000%. And it's so funny too, because like even MAC, some of their collaborations, like they're so iconic.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh
like,
my gosh.
Like their lipsticks with like some of the people they've collaborated with, they're so like the colors are just stunning. Even just the packaging alone, I'm like, this is incredible.
Right? I think they kind of set the bar for all the other brands.
I agree.
You know, because they were the first ones to like come out with like artistry and like pigments and all of those things that other brands weren't really doing. And now makeup is such a lucrative business. It's such a big business. It's such a big industry. Like there's so many things you can do within the beauty or makeup umbrella, and everybody who puts makeup on is starting a makeup business or a makeup brand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, look how far makeup has come. You know, before it was like, oh, you wear makeup? Like, you put that stuff on your face, and now it's like, oh my gosh, girl, who did your makeup? Or where did you get that lipstick? You know what I mean?
Oh
like, how do you do your eyebrows? Can you show me? Can you do my eyebrows? Like, that's how it is now. And it's so crazy because it's like, I remember in high school, people would always be like, oh, she wears too much makeup. Like, she's not pretty. She wears too much makeup. And it's like,
oh my God,
now everybody's like, but I wear makeup. Like, look at me.
Right?
Like, I'm flawless.
I had a friend, and I considered her one of my best friends. And every single time I would wear makeup, like, and it could be just like this, right? Like, I just love makeup, right? And she'd be like, Sarah, why are you always wearing so much makeup? Like, you look so much better natural. Like, da-da-da-da-da, right?
I hate when people say that.
I hate it so much. It makes me so angry because it's not about me being naturally beautiful. I put on makeup because I love how it looks. It's artistry at the end of the day. Like what Shenelle was saying, like it's not because I don't feel like beautiful without makeup. Like that's not the point here. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like a lot of people have that misconception of like, why do you put on makeup? It can be, you want to make yourself look beautiful. Like, yeah, sure, that might be it. But at the same time, it's like, maybe I just like how I do it. Maybe I like doing it. Maybe I like how it looks. Even if it looks like if I'm wearing black eyeshadow with black lipstick, I just like how it looks. I like myself like that.
That's the mood I was in today.
Exactly.
And it kind of stems back to like what I always say when people like give their opinions like this. How does this affect you?
Right.
That's my favorite thing to say to people, or like bring that up in like rhetorical question. If I want to wear, like you said, black lipstick with my black smoky eye and dye my hair black, what's it to? Is it affecting your life? Is it? Don't look at it then. Like simple as that. Like if it makes, and going back to like podcast number 1, if it makes your soul feel good,
do it.
Do it. It's like you're not hurting
if it makes your soul feel good, do it. Yes.
And I think so people, they get so caught up, like, I don't know, maybe, and I think too, and I know maybe I'm like kind of going out on a limb here, but I feel sometimes people make negative comments because it kind of stems from like a place of inadequacy or like she can't, maybe this girl didn't know how to do makeup the way you did, and like this was her way of kind of like, you know, or you know, maybe she was like, and if she thinks that like you're wearing too much makeup, what benefit does she get telling you that? Like, you're not helping the situation.
Right. But how do you know I'm wearing too much makeup? Like, is it because I have my eyebrows done, my eyes done, I'm wearing eyelashes, I'm wearing lipstick and foundation? Or is it because you think I put on 1,000 things and I layered? Like, no. What you constitute as too much makeup isn't the same for me. I'm not doing my makeup so that you can be happy or or compliment me. I did my makeup because I wanted to put on makeup today.
1000%.
You don't know what I'm doing all of the other days. I could be at home doing absolutely nothing, looking like a bum. And you know what? Today's the first day I'm going outside, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put some makeup on today.
Right. And Sarah was saying too, like, it's the artistry. Sometimes it's even the ritual. Like, maybe you just like the act. Like, it's the whole ritual of putting on makeup that makes you feel good. Let them do it. Like,
exactly. And a lot of times it's like someone, you know, they may not be feeling so good about themselves that day, and they're like, you know what, doing my makeup makes me feel good, I'm gonna do my makeup. And that